Manipulation is an art, and those who master it hold immense power. You might not realize it, but every day you're influenced by skilled manipulators. Today, I'm going to show you how to harness this art yourself. By the end, you'll be stunned at how many of these tactics have been used on you. Trust me, you can't afford to miss this. Stick around to uncover the shocking truth. Ready? Let's dive in. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is when someone makes you doubt your reality. It's subtle, but the manipulator twists situations to make you question your memory, perception, and even your thoughts. You'll find yourself wondering if maybe you did overreact or misunderstand things. The goal is to confuse you so much that you trust their version of events over your own. Here's how it looks in real life. You argue with someone, and by the end, they convince you that you're the problem, even though they're the one who started it. Be careful. Gaslighting sneaks into everyday situations, and before you know it, you're second-guessing yourself. 2. Reverse psychology. Reverse psychology is one of those tactics that sounds easy, and it actually is. The person will tell you to do something, knowing you'll want to do the exact opposite. For example, if I wanted you to stop drinking Coke, I'd say, go ahead, drink Coke every day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, don't even touch water. Naturally, you'd start feeling like you should stop drinking Coke. It's a mind trick that plays on your desire to rebel. Think back to all those times when someone told you you can't do it, and suddenly, you felt an urge to prove them wrong. That's reverse psychology in action. Choice restriction. This one is sneaky because it makes you feel like you're in control, when really, you're not. By limiting your choices, the manipulator can guide you toward the decision they want you to make. Here's how it works. I give you two options. Either study or do house chores like washing dishes or sweeping. Obviously, you'll choose the easier one, which is studying, and I'll get what I wanted without forcing you. Limiting someone's choices restricts their freedom, and they'll end up doing what you want without even realizing it. 4. Guilt trip. A guilt trip is when someone makes you feel bad for your past actions or words. This tactic works best on emotional people, as guilt lowers their defenses and makes them more likely to agree with the manipulator. Have you ever heard someone say, "You shouldn't have done that, it wasn't fair," or "you owe them an apology"? They're using guilt to influence your behavior. Once you feel bad, you'll do whatever they ask to make up for it. Manipulative negotiation. Ever been in a shop and the salesperson says something like, "This is the best deal you'll ever get. Trust me." It's unbeatable. That's manipulative negotiation. They'll use tactics like exaggerating the quality of a product or rushing you into a decision to get what they want. It's all about making you feel like you have no other option but to agree with them. 6. Amplifying issues. This one is all about turning a small problem into a big deal. The manipulator exaggerates the situation to create a sense of urgency or fear. You'll see this tactic often in conflicts where someone blows a minor issue way out of proportion to make it seem like a serious problem. They do this so you'll feel pressured to react quickly, often without thinking things through properly. 7. Love bombing. Love bombing is when someone showers you with affection, compliments, and attention to win your trust. At first, it feels great. Who wouldn't want to be treated like royalty? But once they've hooked you, they start using that bond to control you. They'll make you feel guilty if you don't reciprocate their affection or do things their way. It's manipulation wrapped in kindness, and it's one of the most dangerous forms of emotional control. 8. Silent treatment. The silent treatment is when someone ignores you to punish you. They withhold communication to make you feel insecure, confused, and anxious. Eventually, you'll be the one reaching out, apologizing, or trying to fix things. Even if you didn't do anything wrong, it's a power move designed to make you chase after their attention and approval. 9. Triangulation. This tactic involves bringing a third person into your conflict or situation to create drama. The manipulator might say, "Even so-and-so agrees with me on this," to make you feel outnumbered or unsupported. It's all about making you feel like you're in the wrong, because more people are supposedly on their side. 10. Flattery. Flattery sounds harmless, right? But when it's used strategically, it becomes a tool for manipulation. People will compliment you excessively to get you on their side or lower your guard. Once you feel good about the praise, you're more likely to do what they want without questioning their intentions. A full video on this technique is uploaded on my channel, which you can watch later. 11. Scarcity tactics. Scarcity is when someone makes you feel like you're going to miss out on something valuable if you don't act quickly. You'll often see this in marketing, limited time offer, or only 2 left in stock. It creates a sense of urgency, making you feel like you need to act now even if you're not fully sure about the decision. Comes. Emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail involves using your emotions against you to force you into doing something. The manipulator will make you feel guilty, fearful, or anxious to get what they want. They might say something like, "If you really loved me, you'd do this for me." Or, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me?" It's a manipulative tactic designed to make you act out of fear of losing their approval or affection. 13. Fake concern. This one's tricky because it seems like the person genuinely cares about you. They'll express concern over your decisions or actions, but it's really just a way to control you. They might say, "I'm only telling you this because I care about you." But their real motive is to manipulate your choices under the guise of concern. 14. Blame. Shifting. Blame shifting is when someone dodges responsibility by putting the blame on someone else. You could confront them about a mistake, and instead of owning up to it, they'll say, "Well, you made me do it." Or, "If you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have had to do this." They turn the tables so quickly that suddenly you're the one apologizing, even though it wasn't your fault in the first place. Foiled. Playing the victim. This tactic is used to gain sympathy and deflect criticism. The manipulator will make themselves look helpless or misunderstood to avoid taking accountability. You'll hear lines like, "Everyone is always against me," or "You don't know what I'm going through." This makes you feel bad for them, and instead of focusing on the issue at hand, you'll rush to comfort them. 16. Negative reinforcement. Unlike positive reinforcement, rewarding good behavior, negative reinforcement involves removing something unpleasant to encourage a specific behavior. For instance, a boss might reduce your workload only after you've agreed to work overtime. It feels like they're doing you a favor, but in reality, they're pushing you to do more by dangling relief in front of you. Method. Passive aggression. Passive aggression is indirect hostility. Instead of confronting an issue directly, the manipulator will express their anger or frustration through sarcasm, backhanded compliments, or silent sabotage. For example, they might say, "Oh, don't worry about it, you're the expert," when they really mean the opposite. It's a way to criticize without appearing openly aggressive, leaving you confused about their true intentions. Gondi. Love withdrawal. This is a powerful emotional manipulation where the person threatens to withdraw love, affection, or attention if you don't comply with their demands. This tactic plays on your fear of abandonment or rejection, forcing you to meet their demands to keep the relationship intact. Gondi. False promises. False promises involve making you think you're going to get something valuable, but it's all a lie. A person might promise you a raise, promotion, or reward in the future if you work extra hard right now. But when the time comes, they always have an excuse for why it hasn't happened yet. It keeps you putting in effort while they never deliver. 20. Isolating. This technique is all about cutting you off from your support network. The manipulator doesn't want other people influencing you or giving you advice, so they'll slowly isolate you from friends and family. They might say things like, "Those people aren't good for you," or "Why do you need them when you have me?" The goal is to make you dependent on them for everything, so you're easier to control. 21. Fear-mongering. Fear-mongering is when someone uses fear to manipulate your decisions. They'll exaggerate potential dangers or consequences to make you feel unsafe or insecure. You'll hear lines like, "If you don't do this, your life will fall apart," or "Everyone else is doing this, and if you don't, you'll be left behind." The tactic creates anxiety and forces you to follow their lead because they've convinced you that something terrible will happen otherwise. 22. Future faking. Future faking is when someone makes grand plans for the future to get what they want from you now. They'll talk about how great things will be if you stay with them, or how you'll build an amazing life together, only to never follow through. It's about giving you false hope to keep you invested in the relationship or situation, even though they have no intention of making those promises come true. 23. Stonewalling. Stonewalling is when the person refuses to engage in a conversation or acknowledge the issue at all. They'll say, "I don't want to talk about this right now," or give you the silent treatment, leaving you frustrated and unheard. By shutting down communication, they avoid being held accountable for their actions and force you to either drop the issue or keep pushing, making you look unreasonable. 3. Triangulation. In relations. In triangulation, a third person is brought into the situation to create jealousy, competition, or insecurity. This tactic is commonly used in romantic relationships where the manipulator might flirt with someone else or talk about how great someone else is, just to make you feel inadequate or anxious. It keeps you on edge and makes you work harder to win their approval. 25. False comparisons. A manipulator will often compare you to others to make you feel less worthy or capable. They might say, "Why can't you be more like someone else?" Or, "So-and-so would never do this." The goal is to make you feel inadequate so that you'll try harder to meet their expectations, even though the comparison is completely unfair or unrealistic. 26. Double bind. A double bind is a situation where no matter what you do, you're wrong. The manipulator will set up two conflicting demands or conditions, so whichever choice you make, you lose. For example, they might say, "You never spend time with me." But when you do, they complain, "Why are you always around? Don't you have anything better to do?" It creates a no-win scenario that leaves you feeling frustrated and trapped. 27. Moving the goalposts. This tactic is all about constantly changing the standards or expectations so you can never succeed. You might meet their demands one day, but the next day, they'll say it's not enough, and you have to do even more. It's a never-ending cycle of trying to please someone who keeps shifting what success or approval looks like. 28. Preemptive defense. In this strategy, the manipulator will defend themselves before you even accuse them of anything. They'll say something like, "I know you're going to think I did this on purpose, but I didn't." Or, "I'm sure you're going to blame me, but it's not my fault." This tactic is designed to shut down any criticism before it even begins by making you feel like you can't bring up the issue without looking unreasonable. Playing dumb. When someone plays dumb, they pretend not to understand what you're talking about to avoid accountability or taking action. You'll explain something clearly, but they'll say, "I don't get it." Or, "What do you mean? I didn't know I was supposed to do that." It's a tactic to delay, frustrate, or confuse you into dropping the issue altogether. 30. Bait and switch. This tactic starts with the manipulator offering something appealing. But once you're hooked, They change the terms of the deal. For instance, they might offer you a job with a great salary, but after you accept, they reduce the pay or increase the workload. By then, you're already committed, and it's harder for you to back out without facing consequences. Minimizing. This is when the manipulator downplays your feelings or concerns. You might express that something upset you, and they'll respond with, "You're overreacting," or "It's not a big deal." This tactic makes you feel like your emotions are invalid or unimportant, forcing you to question whether you're being reasonable when you probably are. 33. Feigned helplessness. Feigned helplessness is when someone pretends to be incapable or clueless to get you to do something for them. They'll say, "I don't know how to do this," or "I'm so bad at this." So you'll take over and handle things for them. It's a way of manipulating others into doing their work or responsibilities while they appear innocent or overwhelmed. 34. Overloading with information dump. In this technique, the manipulator overwhelms you with so much information, data, or unnecessary details that it becomes difficult to focus on the actual issue. They'll bury you under irrelevant facts and figures, making you feel lost or confused so they can slip in something they want without you noticing. 35. Sympathy plurals. This is when someone deliberately uses their struggles or past trauma to gain your sympathy and manipulate your actions. They might constantly bring up how hard their life has been, so you'll go easy on them or overlook their faults. They play the "woe is me" card to make you feel guilty if you confront them. 36. Pretending to forget. The manipulator will forget things conveniently to avoid responsibility. You might remind them of something they promised to do, and they'll respond with, "Oh, I totally forgot about that," or "That slipped my mind." They use this tactic to get out of obligations without looking like they're intentionally neglecting you. 37. Selective truth-telling. Selective truth-telling is when someone shares parts of the truth, but leaves out key details to mislead you. They'll tell you enough to seem honest, but they strategically omit information that would change your perspective. This creates a false sense of transparency while still manipulating the narrative. Duelant. Playing the savior. This tactic involves someone swooping in to save the day, often from a problem they created in the first place. They'll mess things up behind the scenes and then act like the hero when they fix it. This boosts their importance in your eyes, making you feel indebted to them and more reliant on their help in the future. 39. Using silence as punishment. Silent treatment is when the manipulator deliberately ignores you or refuses to communicate for extended periods as a form of punishment. It's not just about being quiet. It's about making you feel anxious and desperate for their attention. You'll start wondering what you did wrong and may bend over backward to please them, just to break the silence. 40. Black and white. Thinking. This technique involves presenting a situation as an either-or choice, with no room for middle ground. For example, they might say, "Either you're with me or you're against me," or "If you don't do this, then you must not care about me." It forces you into a corner where any decision that isn't in their favor seems wrong or disloyal. So there you have it, powerful manipulation techniques that people use every day, whether it's in relationships, at work, or even in casual conversations. Knowing these tactics gives you the upper hand. Remember, the goal here isn't to manipulate others, but to protect yourself from falling into someone else's trap. A video on flattery and playing dumb is already up on my channel. Go check it out before it's too late. You don't want to miss how these tactics can be used to influence and control others. Watch it now and level up your psychological game. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments. Let me know which techniques stood out to you the most, or if you've ever experienced any of them firsthand. And As always, subscribe if you want more insights into psychology, self-improvement, and mastering the art of influence.